Thank you for your patience. Thank you. Okay, hello world. All right, okay. May the force be with you. My name is Robert Felt, and I'm going to be speaking about making games with the inverted game framework, Awesome. Now, to start off with, I'm just interested to do a quick survey. So perhaps you could raise your right arm if you love using haxe. All right, fairly unanimous. Right arm, now keep your right arm up. All right, left arm up, please, if you love making games. Oh, excellent, excellent. Now, if you haven't put your hands up, you're in the wrong room. Now, today I will be covering and will be using as an example a Lego Star Wars game, which is called ace Special Edition. So, thank you very much, Lego. Thank you very much, Star Wars. And may I recommend, if you are in a toy purchasing dilemma between buying a Lego Star Wars product versus perhaps a non-Lego Star Wars product, that we elect the Lego Star Wars product. Good product. Now, do we all love Lego? Yeah. Excellent. Yeah, wonderful, wonderful product. Great people as well, and they really believe in what they're doing. And what about Star Wars? You big fans of Star Wars? Totally. It's part of our generation, right? Now, any Jedi Masters amongst us? But don't raise your arm. Raise mine. Oh, yes. Yes. The Force is strong in this room. The Force. Now, for those non-Star Wars fans, the Force is an energy field created by all living things. It surrounds us, it penetrates us, and it binds the galaxy together. Now, I'm quoting the original Star Wars movie there, and in doing so, perhaps it sounds somewhat ethereal, quasi-religious, metaphysical. Now, are we comfortable with such terms? I think as developers, we instantiate objects, we dispose objects, we use classes and forms, polymorphism. This is the basic stuff to us. So we are very comfortable with ethereal terms. And the Force and concepts about binding our galaxies together is going to be the recurring theme of my presentation today. So I want to talk about abstract language, high-level language in games development, where we can all talk a common language in amongst our team development. Now, a little bit of background about myself is I've been very fortunate enough to be able to work in small digital interactive development teams and have done so for about 15 years. And in building projects of increasingly larger scale and complexity, of course, I've encountered real issues, experience, or in other words, pain. Now, every time I hit pain and end up doing the 120-hour week to fix the pain, I think I should build a tool for next time. And many of the tools that I'm going to be presenting today in Awesome is tools to relieve pain. My own personal experience, I am a technical architect and a games producer, so I like to combine the two. I like to make fun games and worlds, sustainable worlds, and so I always fall back on the computer programming principle of solid. So single responsibility, open for extension, closed for modification, list-off substitution, so I can swap in subclasses. Interface segregation, so always think atomically and small, and dependency inversion. And they've always put me in good stead. So again, a lot of the architectural patterns I'm going to be showing today will be solid. Now, enough talk from me. I'm just going to show you a quick video, and that'll give you an example of the kind of games that have been developed using Awesome. I'm always curious to know if you do see a game that you recognize, just give me a little nod, because I like to know. Sound.
Ultra kill.
So the pitch. Making games with awesome needs a bit of a pitch. We need a bit of a background as to why this tool might be useful to use. So, like the beautiful game, I kind of see the pitch being a game of two halves. On the one half, we've got commercials, which is the opportunity, and also the challenges. And on the other side, we've got the technology, which is the solution, and we'll get to that in a second. You might already know the ending to that one. But first off, the commercial. What is a casual game? Now, I remember playing a lot of solitaire in my time, and of course through to Angry Birds down in the bottom right here. A casual game for me is something that I can just quickly dip into or quickly dip out of. It doesn't require a great deal of dedication or conviction. It's very easy to consume, very easy to put down again. It's kind of a change in your brain waves. It's a very disposable kind of game. I liken it actually to a cup of Starbucks coffee. Just habit forming, pleasant, nice distraction. So just like takeaway coffee, casual games is a big business. Just a couple of years ago, it was worth 6 billion, 200 million players, fairly significant. But in the future, this is where it's getting to. So that's a pretty serious number. I want a slice of that. And I think, can we get a slice of that? We're all perhaps relatively small teams or even individuals. Can we get a slice of that? And the answer is yes, because the majority of games development is actually produced by fairly small teams. So we are in the running for it. But like any size team, you're going to have different opinions and different perspectives on how to develop your game. And this is what the triangle here is to represent. Now, these might be individuals or they might be entire departments. So we've got Lord Vader representing the project manager. And for him, you know a few there. For him, it's all about getting the Emperor's battleship operational. So milestones and releases and burn rates. Yeah. Okay, all valid. Good man. And then General Grievous, the developer. Multiple juggling, lots of lightsaber wielding action. Really interested in the systems and the crunch. Perhaps there's a few General Grievuses here. And of course Leia. She's the artist, it's all about the emotional response, the look and feel, the mood, the narrative art. And all are important, but do these people generally talk the same language? Not often. So wouldn't it be nice if we could provide them a common language to allow them to all talk together seamlessly? I'm going to just touch on the software pyramid, because again, anybody in kind of advert game agency work, you're probably very familiar with the pointy end of the pyramid, which is quick response to customer requirements. And often, a list of bullet points can be mistaken for a game design document. If you manage to build those bullet points, it's probably good and well done, but add another layer to it, and the deck of cards could easily slip up. So we all know we need to move down this pyramid, because that's where the money is, that's where the stability is. So we want to reuse code as often as possible, stable code. So there was the commercial. And on this side, the technology. Very brief flux capacitor ride. Let's go back in time. Back in 1990, it wasn't pre-installed on the machine. You had to order it via mail. Not a very quick, speedy industry. So towards the end of the 90s, we were starting to get in-browser gaming going on with Java, direct-to-shop web. It really started to take off. Early 2000s, Flash, ubiquitous player, lots of development going on, really an industry forming there, lots of people entering it, and good skills coming up. The glory days of Flash. And of course, modern era, we're seeing a proliferation of technologies, lots of different options, and a lot of emphasis on these platforms here. Now, do we like this proliferation? Not really. The way I see it is, it's like a bunch of ghosts chasing me around my maze. All I want to do is produce my project here. I want to just clear all these points and move on to the next project. But they're all chasing me and getting in my way and putting me off my productivity. So wouldn't it be nice to be able to consume a power pill and turn the tables, chase them away? And that's where haxe comes in. Beautiful language, strictly typed, wonderful tool. And it comes with batteries included. I'm going to skip through this because you kind of know a lot of this already, but batteries included. We've got a fantastic tool set there to build some really great games. And particular nod to NME and Geesh for providing great output to multiple platforms. So together, they combine to create our multi-platform open source programming language, which is wonderful, but I wanted to talk about games. So I want to talk about a game semantic, that top-level abstraction that allows all my team to talk the same language. Now, whenever I'm trying to solve a problem, I like to turn it on its head. Come at it a different way, because I find problems tend to be top-down, whereas solutions tend to be coming up. So I like that. So awe6, the inverted game framework. This is the realization of that pain of solving those problems. So an open source, MIT licensed framework designed to make any genre of game for any platform. Building on top of the hard work done already with haxe and NME and the other haxe. So I'm going to just take you on a real whirlwind tour of the key components of the framework to explain. So first off, the game is composed of scenes. I have an intro scene, a menu scene, the main game scene, game over scene. And within those scenes, entities. This is an entity framework. Entity represents a game object and the common interface for any item that wishes to interact with the framework. Entities are hierarchical, so they can have children and parents, and they're also, those children can actually be bound to state. So it's a state-based hierarchical node graph. Each entity is aware of every other entity, which helps a great deal in games development because you can ask for a collection of other types of entities, and allows them to cross-communicate with one another using an observer pattern messaging system. Above the line, we've got the global services. These are the kind of things that the entity want to ask and talk about. So first off, we need assets. We need to preload them. And sometimes that can be a bit of a pain. So we take care of that out of the tin. And then once they're loaded, they're available in an asset manager. Again, typed, easy access. So across platforms, we're going to grab an asset based upon reference and purpose, rather than based upon what kind of data it contains. Game session. This allows for save game states or high scores. It can be persistent or temporary. You might just want to pass a player's name around between scenes. This would be the space to do it. Audio manager. Multi-channel sound. And a state-based input manager. So instead of listening to key events, mouse events, we actually start to ask, is joypad fire down? Again, talking in that game language. And top-level overlay. This houses the view, with a view scene graph underneath it. Now it also controls overall pause functions and mute functions and so on. So again, out of the tin. All of these things out of the tin. Everything is spawned from a factory. So that's what gives us the list cost substitution, is that we can swap out. We have a default, but we can override. So if you want a custom override, no problem. You just override it in the factory class and it's ready to go. So that gives you your whirlwind tour. Hopefully lots of architectural patterns, so you may be able to see and recognize that. And in doing so, perhaps we can feel the force. Yeah, I touched on those, but there we are. So platform independence. I just wanted to quickly show a sort of semi-technical here is when we're actually referencing classes, we go into a core alias, which then, via conditional compilation, will send off to a driver-specific package, so either Flash or NME, and that can be extended. And that driver package has a concrete implementation, which extends an abstract platform-agnostic version, which is implementing another platform agnostic interface. So from a development perspective, you needn't ever worry about the driver stage. You don't need to worry about what platform you're actually developing for. It's all taken care of seamlessly. And also, by doing it on a driver basis, we can insert drivers, or you can create a custom driver for your custom project and choose to release that publicly or not release it publicly. It's your choice. So, there's a whirlwind tour. Isn't it time to make a game? So, I'm going to show you a quick video. I will remember the sound this time. Of Ace Assault Special Edition. And try and recognize some of the patterns that we've seen in the architectural diagram. So, I'm now going to autopsy that game. So, take it in piece by piece, and hopefully be able to recognize each of the different aspects of it and how that relates to the framework, and how we can grow a game like that using the framework. So, as I mentioned before, everything comes from the factory. So, this really does define our game. It's a data-driven architecture. So, everything starts there. We plant a kernel in the ground, and the kernel is the main loop of the game. It handles the update cycles and so on. But it really conceals that from the developer in a facade. From the factory, we're into that preloader. It's grabbing our assets. You may notice that the preloader is animated. Not only is it animated, but it can be interactive. You've got access to all of the managers at this point. So you can even have a game inside the preloader. And this is very important, especially if you've got long loaders and so on. From there, we're into the assets, and then we're able to launch into the first scene. And we're talking about scenes, so then the artists, remember, they're talking about this scene, they're talking about the intro scene, as the developers, as the project managers. When it's done, the project manager can tell the client this scene is done, and they can go have a look at it, and it can be a standalone scene in its own right. So that scene, it's using some of the aspects of the framework, the audio manager, you heard the music going on. We had 3D graphics going by, which is Sandy 3D, one of the haxe libs, and it's wrapped in an entity in that scene. From that, we launch into the game. We're going to see instructions, scene. And again, reusing the same entities in a different way in that scene. So we've got reuse. From there, we go into the main game, which is kind of a homage to Space War, Star Command, two-player, you against an NPC. You take on the ship and run around, follow, blast them, use your special weapons until they're destroyed. So, how does this work in terms of composition? What we got here, and this is the hierarchical state machine, and I'll just briefly give an example of a non-player controlled artificial intelligent player. So, they start off fairly passively, and so they don't need to do much, they just need to go and sit there, update the physics, update the view a little bit. And so that's what we've got in the agenda of all. The agenda represents the state name. So, we've just got those going on. But then they get shot. So, run away. Okay, evade. So, add on some more behaviors. Navigate away and deploy some countermeasures. But perhaps they get shot some more. They get aggressive. So, let's switch it around. These are still going on, but now we're going to retweak those same components to navigate towards and choose an aggressive weapon. So, we're going to reuse entities inside entities bound to agendas using a hierarchical state machine. So lots of reuse of code. Those same behaviors could be applied in different games for different purposes. The benefit of that? Well, you may remember you saw the Asteroids game mode. This was basically for free. This is just the same dumb opponent with no navigation away. Just divide by 2. We saw the boss ship. Again, same behaviors. Just slow down, fire lots more, and be stronger. We even saw against 2-player opponent. And again, this is one extra line of code. You have as many ships as you want. So we're really seeing the benefit of code reuse. Once the game is complete, we're back to a menu scene where using the game session, we'll be able to preserve the fact that I was so awesome at number 1 that I got a gold medal, and as a result of that, I've unlocked 2 extra levels. I just work my way through the game, unlocking all golds until I'm all done. Great. So, adding more scenes, more levels, more starships is just data. No extra code needed. And in fact, for the 2012 product range, we were able to include 4 extra ships, 8 new levels, and 1 extra game mode for really just creating those assets. So, adding more is easy, it's cheap, it's productive, it's good value for everyone, and it's good fun. You can just play around and adapt things. Great, so, are we feeling like Jedi Masters? Well, we've seen that casual game industry is big business. We know that, we're interested in that. We've also seen that the next big thing, the next platform, the next target comes along really quite often. It's quite scary and unnerving. There's all those ghosts running around chasing us on the Pac-Man ball. We know that haxe provides a multi-platform engine, and hopefully I've demonstrated today that Awesome provides a multi-game framework. So, talking in common language across our games development team, we can increase productivity, we can make games better, and everybody's a winner. So that's how to become a Jedi Master and making these games. Now I just need to do, that's probably the conclusion of my main part of my presentation at this point. So time check. You got time for the interesting slide? Do we want the interesting slide? All right. Okay, good. So using Awesome today involves, well, need to install haxe, need an IDE, wonderful FlashDevelop. Then from there, after running a couple of scripts, you can create a new Awesome project. Just double click there, put some names in there, great, wonderful. At this point, you've got a default factory, override some of this stuff, add in a new scene, add in a new entity, override some of the template class here, and then hit F5. You know, you're building a game within, 15 seconds. And then you just make it better. Tweak it and iterate it until it's done and it's dusted and it's done. Which is fine for us developers. Yeah, we're all happy with that as a process, as a work tool. Because we're all general groups. We're all twirling lots of licenses. Whereas I want to move it forwards a little bit. I want to de-skill it somewhat. So perhaps the future of Awesome is to host it as a managed service, pop it in the cloud. So how might that look? Perhaps as a subscription service. A development team or an individual developer might subscribe at awe6.com, perhaps for free, and then provide an online IDE with some helpful build tools, maybe asset management or audio tweaking tools or whatever it might be. Perhaps because we're in this to make money, we're in this to do business, we're also going to think about our Lord Vader, is we need some workflow tools. So we want to see some agile tools. Of course, we're going to need an online integrated compiler, and it looks like that bit's done. So, wonderful. And then from there, perhaps we can de-skill publishing channels by having a managed service to be able to do that. So we build a game using this tool and publish it, and then give back a percentage maybe. Or perhaps we can start having an entity store. So rather than just selling games, we can sell parts of our games. So our game is composed of many entities. Perhaps some of those, just like on haxe, could be of value to other people's games. And so maybe we can offer them out there, either as a fixed rate charge or as a percentage of another project, or for free, whatever it might be. And in turn, creating a nanotransaction cycle. perhaps there might even be some gold at the end of the rainbow. It would be really wonderful to be able to see games developers being able to make money without actually having to produce again, both on that recurring value. So there's a possible future for this framework. Great, thank you. And I'd like to special thank you to these people. Any questions? The question was, does the game work with Geesh? Does that game work with Geesh? Hello. This game was not targeted for Geesh. I've not actually done an experiment to see how far it would get with Geesh. I'm actually optimistic. I'd like to test it. Perhaps on a simple basis, just try and get one scene working with some 3D models and so on. But the separation of concern is that it's Geesh's responsibility to work within its premises. So once it does, then it would work on Geesh. And I think Geesh is very strong and very exciting. So awe6. Awesome. The inverted game framework.
Is it focused around the enemy / sort of move-clip approach, or is it flexible enough to take the fact that it's 8,000 things go with a completely different approach?
There is nothing in the framework which mentions a moving clip. There is nothing in the framework that makes any specific requirements on any specific concrete platform. From a tangibility perspective, it's often more efficient to do some magic and target a specific bit in a specific way. Because I love using blend modes a lot. I use a lot of blend modes, and that isn't even going to work particularly well on other platforms. I can't live without blend modes, so hint. So for me, I'm going to be doing a lot of movie clip specific stuff, but there's nothing in the framework which is movie clip specific.
And sort of a different question, really, but from my side.
Yeah. I chose Sandy at the time because there were some really good tutorials. It seemed like the most stable of the haxe 3 libraries at the time that I originally made that selection, which was probably 2.5, 3 years ago. I've stuck with it since, and I really liked it. Any other questions from anybody else?
The elephant in the room, how is 6 sung? How is awe6 not sung?
Okay, it's awe6.
No, it's awesome.
Yeah. I just call it the inverted game framework, actually.
How do you structure your entities? Are they actually like PBE kind of entity components, where it's very, very new company, or is it strong type company? What kind of components or entities is game object?
Entities are game objects now.
So it's inherent.
Yes, but the emphasis on the developers to make those entities as small and as atomic as possible. So it may well simply be a binding or a property to update, or it might be a movement behavior, or it might be something more elaborate. It might be an entire 3D engine. It's your choice as a developer on where you make that separation. Now, personally, I like to use a lot of hybrid. Some things make sense to break down into component behaviors, and other things, they do make sense to be a monolithic, huge class. So I make that choice based on a number of factors, pragmatic factors.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah. Well, I'd happily show you code from my laptop later on. Yeah. this has been out since, well, version 1 was released in January. Prior to that, it's been out probably less stable since February. So go for it. Yeah. Yeah. Any more questions? Can I sit down? Great, thank you.